Hello, everyone, and welcome back. You're watching the Kaiser Report. I'm John, and I'm here to talk to you today about a few things that are going on. As you know, the DNC is in full swing in the city of Chicago today, and a lot going on there with protesters. There were some arrests made, I guess, yesterday afternoon when a bunch of these thugs that are running around dressed in Antifa costumes were deciding to burn the American flag again, and also the Israeli flag with it. So that continues to go on, and these morons will keep up as long as people are paying them to be there, which is, in fact, what is going on inside the protests that you see both on college campuses and now at every rally and everything that as these candidates are trying to make their points to you. Which brings us to some news that broke out yesterday. I was told by someone that I know up in Newcastle, Pennsylvania, that just outside of Pittsburgh, they stopped and were having a meal in a restaurant, and 2 or 3 vans of transit van type vehicles pulled up, filled with actors and actresses, and it was announced inside the restaurant that they had to close for a private event. Well, let me tell you what the private event was. They took everyone that was buying their meals, eating their meals, enjoying the ball game on the teleprompters and the like, and were asked to leave that restaurant at a certain time. 4 o'clock, we're closed, you got to get out. Finished or not. Well, people hung around to see what the heck was going on, and they put all these actors and actresses, these paid people, into the seats in this restaurant like they were there all along. And then the surprise came along. The Kamala Harris tour bus pulled up, and she goes in and makes the big fanfare, blah, blah, blah. And it was all these people clapping for her and telling her how wonderful she was. And it was all a scripted, phony mess. And I got this from an eyewitness. Then, in Pittsburgh yesterday, they pulled more of the same, although this was aimed at anybody wearing MAGA hats or shirts, and they were asked to leave a restaurant that they were in and eating and watching the game. And they had to get out so Kamala and her crew from the bus could go in and have a big photo op.
That's not right.
This kind of phony nonsense, why can't these people be themselves? I'll tell you one thing that I like about Donald Trump is he's always himself. He doesn't have to be setting things up and paying people to come out and say things and do things to make him look like he's popular. He's himself, and he doesn't care whether you like him or not. He's caring only for getting into a position that he had held one other time and kept every campaign promise he made then, which leads me to believe that the campaign promises that he's making now won't be any different.
I need the man in black.
Now, related to that, let me tell you the news that came out yesterday from the vice president position in the Kennedy campaign has said that they may be withdrawing from the campaign and backing Donald Trump. Because as she put it, she said, there's only one party keeping us down, and we know who that is.
Just plain mean.
So we will join with the other party if decided by Mr. Kennedy that this is the thing to do. I understand through Fox News and Newsmax that there have been discussions between RFK Jr. and Donald Trump himself. If this is true, that's a great thing, because a lot of the people that are backing or supporting RFK Jr. need a place to go to get their messages heard. And hopefully, if this does happen, I hope that Trump will give him a platform to talk about the things that he feels are important to turning this country back around and getting us back on track that we were in the 2016 elections. We know what happened in 2020. We're not as dumb as they give us or think that we are. We see it. We have seen what can be accomplished by this administration, and make no mistake about this. Kamala Harris is an integral part of the last 3.5 years of failure of this administration to stop the wars, close the border, and fix the economy. And now they want to make the economy even harder to fix by running up $2 to $3 trillion in debt for the programs that she is presenting as a fix to our economy.
God, how can you stand that woman?
These people are so far removed from you and I going to a grocery store and picking up the staples for your family and watching the 30% increase in that amount of money that you have to spend to keep your family healthy. Are there cheaper junk foods that you can buy? Yes, absolutely. But that, on the other side of the scale, makes you ill, and then your health care costs go way up. You need someone with the expertise that has run a business, has made a payroll in their life, and has gone shopping for the family, especially through the tough times that have been the last 3 and 4 months. And then you have somebody, if you remember back when Nancy Pelosi had her health care system ready to shove down our throats, Obamacare, she said, we've approved this and we're passing it. And once you all get on board with this, then you can read it and find out what's inside. They want to pull this again now with the electoral process. We'll make these promises, but unless you elect us, we can't tell you how we're going to implement them.
I just hope it's enough to buy a miracle. That's all.
Does that sound a little weird, to use their words? The Barack and Michele speeches last night at the DNC were more of the same. 24 to 25 mentions of Donald Trump and how to get Donald Trump. No mentions of how to fix the economy. No mention of how to fix the borders. No mention of the families that have lost loved ones as a result of some of these people that crashed the border and are now having a crime wave through the United States, and they've been locked up for various things and then released to go and murder a mother of 5 and a nursing student, and so on and so on. You know the stories. You see the stories, but mainstream media covers those stories up. You can't see that there. So you have to go to Newsmax, you have to go to Fox, and Fox sometimes is no better than mainstream media itself, but they have been doing a fair and balanced job so far with regard to the DNC and RNC conventions. They're asking the questions. They're in the barber shops of the local, where the local people go for their haircuts. They're in the restaurants and places of that nature where real people live their daily life, and they're getting the opinions from these people of what they actually think about what's going on and what these candidates are telling us. Yes, there are a sect of people that will vote for Kamala Harris for no reason at all other than she's on the Democratic ticket. We know that, and we have Republicans doing the same thing. My strong opinion on the Obama speech last night brings me back to when he made the announcement and sat with one of the late night guys and said, I wish I had an earpiece. I could sit in the basement and run this. This is what's happened for the last 3.5 years, in case you don't know that.
You hearing this?
He has been behind the scenes running things, and now he's looking for his 4th term in office, and he feels, and Michele feels, that Kamala is the one to let him do that because she's malleable enough, not as malleable as Joe was, because Joe didn't know where he was half the time. I'm sure if you ask him today what city you're in, he couldn't tell you. He's out in California on vacation. He's been on vacation for quite some time, and it's been covered up, and it's been mainly covered up by that exact person that is asking you for the promotion to Joe's seat right now.
Great. Just great.
Do we not see, hear, and understand what they're actually telling us now? They no longer cover up what they're going to do. They'll tell you now. Why at any convention would you be mentioning the name of your opponent that many times unless you're scared of something?
Fools.
Or you're trying to drive a false point home, which the Democratic Party has driven a lot of false points home. Listen to what Pelosi has to say. Listen to what Barack and Michele have to say. And wait with bated breath to hear what the coach Waltz has to say. He claimed to be the coach of a winning team when in fact he was the assistant coach of the 9th grade team that were not state champions.
Liars.
When you start a campaign with a lie, in his case, several lies, it's pretty hard to trust that individual with the power to be one heartbeat away from presidency of these United States. We have a person that is a sitting vice president, and for the next 5 months, we have Joe Biden still as the president because no one exercised the 25th Amendment when it should have been exercised because they didn't want to put any ripples in their plans that have already been decided and laid out. And most of it right before your very eyes. However, we'll hear more speeches through today, and then I guess tomorrow is when she deems it okay to fly into town and take credit for all that's going on and badmouth her opponent and whatever else nonsense that she comes up with, which is always interesting. But somebody's writing the speech and she'll read it off a teleprompter. It's not like she has to sit and answer questions at the DNC from anyone because she'll avoid that at all costs. Lest you get, let's look to the future and not pay attention to the past, and then look to a great future unburdened by the past. This is more of what you're going to get when she's allowed to speak off the teleprompter. And in some cases, it's on the teleprompter. So you got a phony, baloney candidate that is all show, all Hollywood, and this is what they need to get her through the gates of people's minds that have not been made up on how to vote. They're relying on grabbing undecided people by filling them with lies, promises, and things that we have all heard before through the years of politics, both sides, and never come to fruition. Her economic plan, she needs to go back to the 6th grade and take an economics test, as Mark Levine said the other night so amply on his program about, she can't answer these questions because she has no idea of the trillions of dollars that she will increase our debt load by giving out these handouts, especially giving handouts to people that are not citizens of this country, and just all to get their votes, which is illegal. And we have court systems that are turning a blind eye to this.
That's bullcrap. That is bullcrap.
They have literally, outside of early polling stations in certain states, have set up a tent outside the DMVs, getting them their driver's license, and then on their way out registering them to vote and apply for a Social Security card.
These things must be done delicately.
Those of us that have worked all our life to depend on Social Security after retirement are being slapped in the face by this Democratic Party that has allowed a wide open border with over 1 million people that are now unaccounted for, gotaways, they called them. And then you have another, I think they said it was over 100,000 young kids that they have lost track of. Don't know where they are or who the foster families are or if they're being used as slave labor, drug runners. We don't know. Or prostitution, even worse. Because they have lost track of recording who took what child to where.
What?
Isn't that interesting? And she wants to have more power, to do more of the same. We have an open, wide border that needed to be dealt with, and it was not. So day 2 of the convention was, I think, slightly lackluster. I think there's a massive divide inside the Democratic Party. I think there's a massive divide between Pelosi, the Obamas, and Joe. And I can't blame the man because here's, the raucous rock star Obama that stuck a knife deep into Joe Biden's back with the help of Pelosi and Schumer up there taking the big stage again. Now today they're going to have some sort of a singer or rock star or somebody up there to whip up the crowd. But if you look at the faces of the people, if you look at the demeanor of the outside being fenced off, walled off, and now they're adding today a third layer of fencing because 2 layers have already been breached by the rioters who threw bottles and painted symbols on the police cars with spray cans. And whether or not any of them were arrested is beyond me. And they're purely Antifa agitators because they're all dressed in black with their faces totally covered, which means they don't want to be identified. And that would be an indication to me to stop and frisk those people and find out what their intentions are and tell them, if you want to be here, take off the mask. There's no reason for that. If you're not hiding something, you shouldn't be masked up. I tell you what, this is Batman's Gotham right now.
Shocking.
But it's funny because the Democratic Party do not like walls or fences because it keeps people from coming across our border, but they fence and wall everything all the way around their convention center because they don't want to be confronted by the crime wave that they have allowed to come into this country. Plain, pure, and simple, they are responsible. You can point the finger back at Donald Trump and say, our numbers are better than his were. He had more. This is pure, unadulterated lies being propagated to us, the American public, by one party that does nothing but lie to us. We know the border got out of control after Joe Biden took office because his day one act was to cancel everything we had with Remain in Mexico and all of the executive orders that were put through to stop the flow of illegal immigration into this country. And get this straight. These are not asylum seekers. These are not refugees. They're coming in with $200 pairs of sneakers on and well-dressed, and in some cases from China, well-trained at how to stand at parade rest, which indicates to me that they're military. And nobody is any the wiser to this after 3.5 years of watching it happen. As Joe would say, come on, man. So anyway, here it is Wednesday, another hump day. We're halfway through the week and almost done with the DNC. We'll see what fallout comes from the final day of the DNC tomorrow. And we'll report to you tomorrow on the Kaiser Report some more nonsense that is being spread inside the United Center where this is taking place. And another interesting fact to me was I was listening to actually Hannity yesterday, and he said for him to get through to where they broadcast from, he's had to show his ID and credentials several times, even though they knew who he was, they knew his face, and even greeted him. Hi, Mr. Hannity, how are you? Do you have your credentials? So he had to show a driver's license and the DNC credentialing that he was provided with to get in to do a broadcast from the studio they were assigned to. So why is it that the Democrats are telling you every day that they don't want any ID showed to vote? Because it's racist. How racist was it to do this to Hannity? And anyone else that's going in and out of that building is experiencing the same thing. Why is that not racist? Then they have a multi-gender Muslim prayer room set up. They showed pictures of that yesterday. And here's the interesting part. Is that for trans people? Is that for gay Muslims? Because if you go to Palestine and profess that, they'll kill you. So what's your message here, Democratic Party? The party for all? The party for the destruction of the United States of America? The party that held up a candle to racism back in the day? Who are the racists here? I think you know. So with that, we'll watch what happens for the rest of the day there and keep you informed. It's almost funny. Actually, I have to find amusement in this, or, you'll go crazy if you don't. And you have to keep your ear to the stone and understand what they're telling you, because in every lie that they tell you, there's just a little bit of truth. And that little bit of truth will tell you that they are running this as a Hollywood sitcom. And if you are in your right mind, you will see this, you will know this, and you will vote early with your minds made up. And if your mind is not made up, don't vote early, because things can change between now and November 6th. But some of us already know who we're going to vote for, and that makes, for the first time, early voting important. And it's a page from the playbook of the Democratic Party. And it's about time that the Republicans started to stick together instead of turning on each other and utilize some of what we've learned from the other side's cheats, how to defend against it. But we have to unite as a Republican Party, and then, if elected, we have to unite this country with both parties in one direction. And the direction is for the population's needs, not the world's needs, not the specialty actions given to some while others suffer. No special deals on housing. Make housing affordable by listening to what will do that. Not pie-in-the-sky ideas of handing out $250,000 to first-time buyers. That will increase the debt load that we carry now, which needs to be dealt with, which one party says they will deal with, the other party says they want to increase it. There's your answer. And then whoever becomes president within the next 4 years, this is what needs to happen. We need to start paying down debt, do better negotiations in our trade agreements, and balance the budget of the country of the United States of America, or get it on its way to a balanced budget. And then, and only then, do we have a chance to survive and prosper. With that said, thank you for tuning into the Kaiser Report today. I want you to have a wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. And please Pray for our country. Pray for our leaders. Pray for our candidates, good, bad, or the ugly. They are all God's children, as we are. Remember that. God bless you, and thank you for tuning in. We'll see you on the Kaiser Report here Thursday morning tomorrow. And until then, bye-bye now.